Good evening. We'll have our October the 4th, 2016 meeting. We'll have the invocation by Commissioner Keller, Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Forster, and roll call by the clerk. Stand.
Heavenly Father, as we gather here before you, we ask, as always, a blessing on our meeting, that we choose wisely our decisions for the future of our city. We ask a blessing this month, Lord, all those with, as this being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Lord, we ask that you help all and remember all those who have cancer, who are going through that this time, especially some of our firemen, police officers who've had to go through that. We ask a blessing on all of our citizens. We ask a blessing on all of our staff as they go through the job of helping our citizens when they come here. Definitely, Lord, a special blessing on our first responders as they keep us safe. We ask you to keep them safe. And finally, Lord, our military, wherever they are in the world, keep them safe and bring them home to us. We ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Grogan?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Present.
Mayor Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Furstner?
Here.
Commissioner Keller?
Here.
We have no presentations and proclamations this evening. We have comments from citizens and the public. If anybody in this public has any comments, feel free to come up now to the podium. If not, we'll move on to the staff reports. Nobody in the audience? Okey-doke. We'll move to the staff reports. Rob?
I'm sorry, I have nothing this evening.
Okey-doke. Commissioner announcement. Commissioner Keller.
Just a couple of them. One, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Please remember to do those things and take care of yourself. Go out and get those checks done. They are important that you do that. The other thing that I did want to mention is I managed to go to SunPass. I was a little late there for the grand opening, but I did get to do one of the tours. And I have to say, I'm very impressed with it. I was really pleased with the job they've done. So congratulations to the mall and to SunPass for the new tenant. That's all for now, Mayor.
Commissioner First.
Couple things. First and foremost, hurricane preparedness. I think you all are aware of what we're facing out there. Please, I ask you to pay attention to the news reports, the track of the storm, and don't take any chances. Prepare your families, your homes, and your property now, and have a plan to leave if you need to do that. Second, the police is sponsoring a walk to school day tomorrow, October 5th, at Spring Lake Elementary, Ocoee Elementary, and Citrus Elementary. If you're interested in joining them and participating in this event, contact Sergeant Brian Satterley at 407-905-3160. That's all.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes, again, just going after what Commissioner Joel just spoke about, the Xerox call center. It's exciting because they're going to have 500 jobs, revitalizing an empty store space in the mall. I mean, it's a win-win situation, so I think this is a start for Ocoee, and I hope we see more changes like this. So that's about it right now. Thank you.
Commissioner Grogan.
Nothing at this time, thank you.
All right, I have nothing this time. All right, we'll go into the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Keller to approve the consent agenda, seconded by Commissioner Wilson. No more comments? Let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right. What we're going to do now, no public hearing. The regular agenda is not going to be the prioritization of projects to be funded via general fund bond issue. So we're going to start off with Assistant City Manager Shadrack. That's B. Shadrack.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Commission. Craig Shadrack, Assistant City Manager. This is a historic moment of a sort for the city of Ocoee, because it seems like a very long time ago, this group sat through some somewhat painful strategic planning sessions and came up with a goal to revitalize your downtown. And this goal turned into some very good things, including a grant-assisted study of the 429 corridor, which gave birth to the Downtown Master Plan. The Downtown Master Plan has been one of the most successful projects that has ever been completed in the city of Ocoee. And you will be hearing it for final adoption on the 18th of this month. And they'll be presenting the entire master plan effort, including the new design code that will be adopted to help create the look and feel that we've all grown to love throughout the process, as well as our loyal members of the public who devoted a lot of their own personal time to providing input. So where that brings us this evening is an opportunity following up on our first budget workshop, where we discussed the project list that the master plan created and how to fund it. You've already approved moving forward with a bond issue for utilities, the necessary utilities for creating this downtown master plan. So we're before you this evening for you to appropriate funding and direct us to proceed forward with a general bond issue up to $25 million. And we also have a project on here that's going to require funding from one of our enterprise funds, the very first one on the list. And I'm going to use that to kind of segue into this. But before I do that, I want to introduce our team, because we've been working very steadily on this for every week since the Downtown Master Plan started. And so we have Al Butler, our Support Services Director, who works with capital projects, Charles Smith, our Utilities Director, Angel Della Portilla next to him, our Consulting Economic Development Expert, Michael Rumer, who manages the capital improvements element of the comp plan and is the city planner, and last but certainly not least, Steve Krug, our engineer in charge of public works. And without their valuable input and diligence in this process, as well as the support from the city commission and for certain the city manager's office, we wouldn't be standing here right now on the brink of history. So, backing up a little bit, following the first budget workshop where we went through the project list, we have gone through with the help of our project team and further refined this list of projects. And they're color-coded in 3 colors because of the relationships between the different projects. Now, as you can see right now, there's 3 columns in this sheet: total cost, general fund bond in the middle, and other funds. Okay. Right now, we have total costs appropriated from the projects based on the input of the commission at the first budget workshop, totaling $23,678,000. Okay, you have other projects that have been discussed that you have to decide whether to add them into this sheet or not. Scrolling down the top one on unfunded projects, and I want to ask Al at this point to maybe say a couple words about the timing of some of these projects. Bond-funded projects have to be done in 5 years, so that's a good thing. All these projects have to be done in 5 years. They're grouped based on their relationships and ability to move forward on them. So I'm going to ask Al to say a couple words about that.
The top group that we're showing here, those 7 projects, those projects have a level of interrelationship in that there are design issues that impact each one. So for example, you need to know how much sewer is going to come out of City Hall to know how big the pipe needs to be for the gravity sewer system. The downtown stormwater system, you have to have it in place to receive the stormwater from City Hall before you build City Hall and start utilizing that capacity. So these first 7 have a relationship to each other because of the nature of the construction projects. You need to know what size pipe goes under Bluford Avenue when you rebuild it, for example. The next group, the green group, those are somewhat independent projects that can move forward. Some are already underway. We're ready to award now the wastewater force main connector on the consent agenda. That bid was awarded, so that'll start soon. Those others are able to move forward as we have the ability to do so from a production capacity perspective. And then we have a second set of projects in the yellow, that those are related to the western side of the downtown area, the Taylor Road area, and some of those things, so that they work together. And then after the last color there at the bottom, the Lakefront Park Improvements Phase 2, that requires City Hall to be relocated because that deals with the northern part of the City Hall campus that we have today.
Okay, so having said that, if you would scroll down a little bit, there are some points of discussion that you need to have. If you wish to include the Lakeshore Center expansion, then we can tell you how you can get there to the $25 million. The purpose of our being here tonight is to finalize this list up to $25 million. We're going to request that the commission vote to direct us to proceed forward with the projects that you finally identify, and we're going to ask that you also vote to move forward with directing staff to secure funding necessary for creation of a master stormwater system for the downtown using stormwater funds. So we have our team here. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have. But the first order on the table really is to determine whether or not you want to, what you want to do with the Lakeshore Center. Because right now you're at about $23,600,000 and something. Okay? We have a pathway to get you to $25 million if you decide you want to fund this Lakeshore Center expansion. Al actually has some backup materials that we've already briefed you individually on regarding the cost and design. So we'll entertain any questions and as you're considering this.
Mayor, if I can?
Yes.
Just, I guess the one question on the Lake Shore, does that need to wait until City Hall moves, or is that a standalone?
It's a standalone project. It could proceed sooner than that. It doesn't really impact the existing facility, and it goes in a current open space, so we're able to move forward without waiting for any of the other activities. Stormwater would be an issue, yes. We'd have to have a place for the stormwater to go.
So you're asking if we want to include this in the bond,
Yes, go back to the sheet.
correct?
Yes. Now, I'll point out to you that we added 20% contingency to the previous number for City Hall, and that increased it from 8 to 10 million. So you have $1 million that you could probably take $1 million from that and keep that number at 9, and to add to the remaining 1 point whatever. And what was the other item that they could take? Oh, the phase 2 of the Lakeshore improvements that deal with the northern side of our campus. If you recall from the plan, it involves repositioning the boat ramp and some property acquisition. So it's going to be a longer-term project, and that would be a valid candidate if you wanted to take some money from that particular project. And as you can see, and as we've discussed with you one-on-one, we kind of split the lakefront improvements into 2 phases because of timeline and degree of difficulty with accomplishing it in a reasonable timeline. So focusing on the south end as part of the other overall campus improvements, and then the north end as a separate means. And timing-wise, you can't really do a whole lot here until you tear down City Hall and so on and so forth.
Into the 23 million or whatever you're talking about, you're not counting that 8 million stormwater, right?
Not at all, no.
That's on this paper here, but not on that one, right?
It's
On the funded projects.
the creek improvements, which are on this campus, which total $180,000, are included in the bond issue.
All right.
The remaining $8 million for the master stormwater system will be appropriated from stormwater funds.
I'm interested in pursuing the Lake Shore Center. I think that's gonna be a vital part of that, of the complex there. The one thing that's gonna go along with that I'm very concerned about is that we up our game on the rental of it, because I don't know when we start having that amount of complexes within that area. I wanna see the Withers McGuire House rented. This is all revenue that comes back to the city, to our residents. And if we're gonna put the money out, I think we need to up our game on that and make sure that these facilities are rented and handled appropriately. When you have more, it's gonna cost us more by having staff, but I think there's a need for that in a larger facility. I think we did a great job with one we have, but larger will increase our revenues.
If you add the Lakeshore Center in with the venues that we have planned, you'll have 4 venues of varying sizes and degrees of sophistication on this campus that can be marketed. So it will become a very marketable location for various sized events.
I'm just gonna make a note that I know the Women's Club is on there. I would just need to make a note that I will be filling out the form, that I will not be voting or commenting on this event, because I do belong to the Women's Club.
Okay.
I agree with the Lakeshore Center also. Obviously, we need a bigger venue, as we found out. This one didn't quite meet the market, or get all of the market that we need. Plus, I don't think we need to come back at a later time and start ripping everything up and developing all over there once we get this whole area done. I believe, while we're in here doing this whole big construction zone, get it done, get it out of the way, and utilize all this property once we're done.
That's a good point. And in your packet, I wanted to point out, and I'm not urging you to start reading it right now, by all means, but it can be some fun reading later. But it includes a description of the project interdependencies, and what Commissioner Grogan just said is very true. The timing is critical so that we identify all the pipes and where they need to go, so that we're not putting down new roadway and then having to tear it back up and then replace it. And there's a lot of little interdependencies like that we've evaluated with your packet there, and that's why they're grouped this way. But the simple short answer at the end of the day is, once you finalize this list, it's all got to be done in 5 years.
Greg, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
If we push back the Lakefront Park improvements Phase 2, or use some of those funds toward the Lakeshore Center expansion, is it going to have a negative effect on Phase 1 of the Lakeshore
No, sir.
improvements? It
No,
won't.
sir. And Michael Rimmer, I would like to direct you to expand on that further, if you can stay in your chair.
Thank you. Yes, the Phase 1 Lakeshore improvements are those items that our citizens really reflected the need to have multiple interactions on the campus. So that involves the dock, the mooring dock, the dock over the water, the amphitheater, and the ability to rent kayaks. So that will not have any interaction with Phase 2. Phase 2 would be closing off the road, moving the boat ramp on the north end, as Craig said.
So would we just leave the boat ramp as is until that property is acquired?
Yes, and as we plan further that Phase 1 improvement, the amphitheater, the restrooms that go with it, and we start to see the shape, then we can look at what part of Lake Shore do we close, and how does that boat ramp interact with the Phase 1?
Okay.
And we can approach it that way.
Yeah, so it's not going to interfere, you can modify plans.
No, we just have to look at what's best for the food trucks, what's best for the Phase 1, and how that boat ramp interacts, and whether we close the road or how we use it.
Okay. Mr. Keller?
I think, well, we definitely need to put it in. I know we've had a call for a larger space, and I think as Commissioner Grogan mentioned, you're gonna be tearing it up. Now's the time to do it all at one time instead of having to redo everything later down the road. So I wouldn't have any issue with moving that in, working the numbers around, even if we have to take a little from that lakefront Phase 2 for now and put it back in at a later date when we get closer to the end of the 5 years.
I think the Lakeshore Center we should have probably did a little more thinking on it and bigger, but we didn't, so that's something we're going to address. We can tell by the use of it that it's popular, and it's something that people in the town want to utilize. So I think it's an important part of the downtown revitalization. It might not seem like it to some people, but I think it is, because the more people we can bring into that Lakeshore Center and see it, the more people are going to see the downtown, they're going to see the lakeshore, what happens with what we're doing. I talked to a gentleman this afternoon that's one of the owners on the lake, and he's willing to meet with us about the property over on the cove over there and just sit down and maybe work on the long-term deal with him. So I talked to him this afternoon, so he's all in favor of that too. So if we can do that, then we tie that second part in with that. So I think it's a great idea. I just think we have to also pitch that area from Blueford Avenue, Oakland Street, and Taylor in this first part too. So I think we're going to address that tonight also.
Which that's included. In the yellow projects, that's included in there as
Trail
funding.
segment 2,
Yes, sir.
and Franklin's at segment 3.
When, just for a quick comment, when all the commissioners and the mayor talked, we each had our little sessions. Did you prioritize what we wanted or what we said? Or did you just come up with a generalization?
We came up with what we felt was representative of the testimony provided by the commission
Right.
at the first budget workshop.
And did we tie into what the citizens had been at our
Yes,
meetings
sir.
and proposed?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the main thing. I want to make sure their proposals get worked into what we do.
And I will remind the commission, this was one of the most successful public participation programs with the downtown master plan that I've seen in a long time. And I used to do a lot of these as a consultant, and was very pleased with how the public participation went. It says a lot for the type of people we have living in our community.
All right, you gonna go ahead and explain what the next one?
Okay, well, I think we need some direction by whatever means the city attorney tells us to go ahead and move the Lakeshore Center onto the funding list.
But, real quick,
Yes,
if
sir.
you do that, are you gonna go ahead and put in the other way to fund that up to the other cost of the 2 million or 1.5 million you were talking about? Explain that in the
All right,
process.
we're going to show you right now what we would recommend if you're going to fund that.
Right.
Okay? Al's going to do a couple things. You're going to start with City Hall, correct? Okay? All right, so he's going to take that number of 10 million for City Hall. Man, the director in charge of IT is experiencing some computer difficulties. If you please bear with us. Al, why don't you just tell them what you're going to propose?
What we're going to do is we would remove $1 million from the budget allocation for City Hall. And make that $9 million. I don't know what to do that.
There you go.
And if you would, make your amended motion tonight to authorize us to spend money to get a new computer for the playground.
Doesn't that come at City Hall?
Speaking of that mic too, Al. I'm speaking of that mic.
Speaking of the mic, and state your name for the
We want to
record.
make sure you're on record.
Yes. We'll be ordering a new computer for the podium tomorrow. What we need to do, just to talk you through it, is that we need to reduce the amount for City Hall by $1 million, recognizing that that's essentially moving half of a $2 million contingency. If you have a 40,000 square foot building at an average $200 a square foot, you're looking at a $8 million price tag there, so we had added some contingency there for public spaces and things of that type. So reducing that from 10 million to 9 million doesn't really hurt that project in terms of being able to move forward. We would also need to move, that gives you $1.322 million to add to from the balance there. So to go from 25, you see the bottom number is at 23,678,000. That for that to go to 25, you take and allocate 1,322,000 of the 4 million that you need for the Lakeshore Center. You then take another million from, you take the million from City Hall, and that leaves you then with needing $1,678,000 from the $2.52 million that's allocated to Phase 2. So you would leave still $842,000 in Phase 2 for the
Lakefront Park
Lakefront
improvements.
Park. To still have $4 million then to move forward on the City Hall relocation would still go forward, and the Lakeshore Center would also be added to the project list. So what you would see is essentially a reduction in the amount of money from the bond being reserved for the Lakefront Park improvements. We would have an opportunity after City Hall is relocated to allocate funds to that from other sources.
All right. It would also be, I think, helpful if you put it on paper, give it to us later.
Yes, sir.
To me, it would.
A final copy of the funding list of approved projects will be provided to everyone and posted on the website.
All right, what's the next issue?
Mayor, before we vote on anything, I got one other question. We also talked about the fire station during the budget hearings. And there was $160,000 we were talking about for design. Is that something we want to put into the bond, or do we want to look at that coming out of city money as opposed?
Yeah, city money.
Okay. Only because that was one of the other things we had talked about, talking at this time about, so just want to make sure that we didn't forget about it and then afterwards say, oops.
I had thought we talked, Rob talked, we,
We're down to 21 million at the bottom, so when we add the 4 million, when we add the 4 million for the Lakeshore Center, you'll be at $25 million for the bond issue.
Okay, Al, I think for the record, can you recap the changes that we just made to the list before you?
We removed $1 million from the City Hall relocation project. That's essentially 50% of the $2 million budget contingency fund that we had there. We also removed $1,678,000 from the Lakefront Park Improvements Phase 2 project, which left $842,000 there. And then we added the balance of unallocated general fund bonds, which was an amount of $1,322,000, in order to get the allocation down to $21 million on the projects that were already listed as funded. And that leaves us in $4 million to add the Lakeshore Center expansion.
is there a contingency in the Lakeshore?
There's a contingency included in all those. For example, there's a contingency of 2.5% for the Lakeshore Center to deal with price increases, because we're doing the estimate now, but we're going to do the construction later. And there's other allowances in there for that. So there is contingency. You remember originally we had $5 million in contingency. That was a standalone box. What we've done instead is we've spread that out over all the projects. And so then in general, we added a 20% contingency to all the projects to utilize that $5 million. And that's how $2 million got added to the City Hall relocation. So that's kind of a big number there that I think we still got enough tolerance there at $9 million to still be able to accomplish that project.
Do all of our contracts call for 20%?
No, the reason that we did that was because this is at a conceptual planning level where we're using sort of average cost of construction figures. And because of that, there's much more uncertainty as to the price. And so it's better for us to guess high than to stick with an average figure and be disappointed later on when the cost is greater. So this is a conservative way to go so that we can really deliver on what we're promising.
What
Hey.
is the normal percentage that's usually written into a contract?
10% is a
Overage.
normal budget allowance.
For a detailed discussion of the estimation methodology, please refer to page 8 in your packet.
You got me curious.
You don't want us to read it right now, so yeah.
Please feel free.
I guess, Mr. City Attorney, do we have to do these one item at a time?
Yeah, I
And the
think-
reason I ask that is because I know
Right.
Commissioner Wilson doesn't want to vote on the one.
Yeah, I think
so-
we ought to, I think we've got a number of motions to make. First would be perhaps to include the Ocoee Women's Club rehabilitation as part of the list. That way, Commissioner Wilson can recuse herself from that vote. And then following that, we could rank the final capital projects and direct city staff to proceed with those. And then I think we need a motion to direct city staff to do the, secure the bond financing up to the $25 million.
All right, before we do that, I want to get a overview, real quick, of the Women's Club deal.
Okay, I'll ask Al to go ahead and do that because he's been working directly with the Women's Club.
We sort of approached each other at the same time, you might say, in terms of the Women's Club is in the area, the block that we were planning to build City Hall, as well as parking spaces and things of that type for the community center. At the same time, the Women's Club is looking to try to spend more of their money on charitable activities rather than on repairing and maintaining their building. And so the discussions that we've had are informal at this point. We're kind of sending emails back and forth and talking a little bit about how it might be done. But the basic outline at this point is that the city would have a long-term lease of the property, say for 50 years with an option for an additional 50 years, that we would pay $400 a month for the facility, and that we would be able to make improvements to the facility. It especially needs rebuild of the kitchen. It needs some on-site storage, and it needs additional restrooms. They've recently spent a lot of money on the building. It's got a new roof. They put in new energy-efficient windows, and we would be able to rent it and manage it as if it was our own facility. They would have some reserved nights for their monthly meetings. They have a board meeting on a Tuesday night. They have their regular membership meetings on another Tuesday night. They would have the option of having up to 4 events on a weekend. They would be able to, their members would be able to rent it on a space available basis up to 12 times a year. That's one of the membership benefits that the club has right now. But for all intents and purposes, it would be integrated into the Lakeshore Center for the city. We'd be able to set the prices and be able to manage the facility, manage the events. We'd pay the utility costs. We just wouldn't have to pay a purchase price for the building. The $400 a month is trying to keep the club whole for the amount of rental income that they get today, based on what information they've given us. So under these scenarios, we would be able to operate it as our facility. The only caveat there that they would be able to look over plans for anything that structurally altered the building, that they would have 2 weeks to review those plans, and if they said no, we'd have the ability to get out of the lease. There are also some other contingencies that allow the city to terminate the lease with various notices depending on, for example, if the building's no longer usable, that we have the ability to terminate the lease 90 days notice. Some other things have a 1-year notice. So it's essentially an opportunity for us to utilize the facility. It has a good size of about 125 to 150 seats that you can get in there in a banquet orientation. That's really on the small end for what we would want to do in the Lakeshore Center, but it's bigger than what we can do in the Withers McGuire House. So with the expansion, building the 350 to 400 seat facility on the Lakeshore Center, we would then have 4 different size facilities in one geographic area and be able to manage it with a single operation.
Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
The $200,000, now you were talking about $400 a month, but is that over the cost of fixing up the building as far as upgrading the kitchen and all that? Or are we sort of in kind here in that instead of paying them $400 a month, we're gonna do the construction?
It would be both. We would pay them $400 a month for them to maintain their current revenue stream that they get from rentals. And we would be able to fix up the facility to increase it. Just loosely, back of the envelope kind of thinking, we're probably looking at a $1,000 rental fee for the facility, which puts us in between the Withers McGuire House and the Lakeshore Center. After we fix it up, of course, with a nicer kitchen and things. So it's, the city would have the first right of refusal if they decided they wanted to sell the building, and that we're hoping that we'd be getting credit for the amount of money that we've put into it as
No,
well.
I'm just concerned if I'm looking at $200,000 basically being the money that we're giving to them over the life expectancy
Right.
of that, and then we're gonna have to pay an additional amount of money to do the upgrades, and if so, what is that additional amount of
Well,
money?
the $400 a month, the net present value of that is about $87,000, and that's roughly the value of the property today from an appraisal perspective. So we're essentially being held whole in the terms of we're getting the facility, we're not getting the title, but we're getting the same as in the way that we can use the facility and modify it. The reason we'd want to be making changes is to be able to.
Right, I understand that, but I'm just trying to
increase the
figure out,
revenue.
is that part of the 200,000, or is that on top of?
It's
the
a
200,000?
separate item.
The $400 a month doesn't factor into the 200,000 at all. The 200,000
Well, in
is
fact,
for
the
improvements.
200,000 is a budget number that allows us to do additional landscaping and parking and things of that type. The building itself wouldn't require $200,000.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Mary, I just wanted to clarify one thing. I think in the second budget meeting, you all had committed at some point next year to bring on additional positions in the fire department for that station up there. And in the beginning, using the temporary station, which is fine. And I had the question, I talked with the chief and Craig a little. We weren't quite sure where the money was going to come to build the new station. There were two different ways to do it. We talked about putting it in a bond issue, and then I know we had a discussion also about the proceeds from Phase 2 of Crown Point. So if you don't put that in there right now, I'd suggest we put the $165,000 for the design in to get the design out of the way, because we don't have that money right now. And if you wait till next year to do the design, you could be in the temporary station for quite a while. So if you don't put it in here, I guess we would assume if you're going to go forth with that new station, it would come out of the proceeds from Phase 2 of Crown Point. I just wanted to be clear. It sounds like from the discussion you had, you all wanted to do that, but I'm not sure where that money's coming from right now.
Only because it's such a quote-unquote small amount, and we've already got the 25 million built out, if you will. Would it be worth taking that 160,000 out of a reserve so that we can do it?
I think you could put it in here because these numbers, as they stated, there's a 20% contingency in here. We're trying to get around 25 million, so as long as you're within 10 or 15%, I think you're going to be pretty close. If the bond issue ends up being 24.7 or 25.6, or, you know, it is what it is. But I don't.
That's a separate issue with what we're talking. I want to do that 160, but I'd rather, I'm like Commissioner Keller. I particularly would rather take it out of the reserve, keep all the money we talk about for this bond issue strictly for the downtown revitalization thing that we've been preaching.
Yeah, and that's fine. You wouldn't be able to take it out of reserve till next year, next year's budget, though, and I
Why
thought.
not? We just started this year.
Yeah, but it's not in this year's budget.
Yeah, but we should be able to move money out of reserve.
Mid-year, we can put it in.
You could do that mid-year.
We can put it in mid-year.
I kind of thought that
Which
that's
is-
what we were doing anyway out of the Crown Point money.
Okay, we won't have the Crown Point money
Until
until December, right.
Yeah, it's
So that
3
would come in
months.
next year's budget for next fiscal
December
year.
2017.
Gives us plenty of time to draw it up.
I would say if we take it out of this year's reserves, even if we do that at mid-year, because I'd really rather
Yeah,
for 160,000, I'd rather not play with this Well,
Okay.
that's just me.
Whatever you want to do is fine, it's just there was a little confusion as to where the
Yeah.
I think we
design
all
and the
expected
construction
it
were
this
coming
year.
from.
We
Yeah.
definitely expected it this year. I wasn't sure, I thought the Crown Point was December of this year.
I
This
just wanted to
2017.
keep what we're supposed to be doing with the bond money
Yeah.
for what it was supposed to be entitled for.
Yeah.
Stay away from that,
Yeah.
diverting it out somewhere else. So we can take it out of the,
Out of the reserve when we
Reserve.
get to the 6th
Yeah.
month, if we can't take it out before that, so.
Okay.
if we get a consensus for that, we need a,
Yeah, I think we've got, I think the way to handle this is to do a vote to direct city staff to secure the bond financing for a general bond of approximately $25 million to fund the projects that you'll approve at the next motion.
so that's
I'll
the
make-
motion.
I'll make the motion to secure the
Do
bond.
do we want to,
Wait a minute, wait,
He wants to
So
bond the money first.
first, we're going to secure the financing, and then we'll determine what
I'll
projects.
make
we
the
get.
motion to secure the up to the $25 million bonding.
second?
I have a motion to secure the 25 million and a second. Motion by Commissioner Grogan, tied for second. We'll go to the ladies, the lady made.
I was going to say, give it
No,
to
Commissioner Wilson. So here, there was something I was gonna ask you about, I got into that and forgot it, so. All right, so 25 million bond issue for the, I know what it was, question before we vote. Is that the max on the vote, on the bond issue? At one time, we said we could go up to $30 million. Now, with the funds we have now. And that's what Mark, where is Mark at tonight? Mark Galvin.
With the funds you have now, Commissioner, we had been taking the last couple of years from the fire fee, about $700,000. And then we have general obligation loans out right now, not bonds, which we can re-amortize over the 30 years again. So re-amortizing and taking that $700,000 that we're spending right now would create the same debt service next year if we get $25 million. So, and that's the guidelines I think staff has been working under. Let's come up with $25 million. That was how we balanced the budget this year, bringing it down slightly too, knowing what the debt service is going to be. Now, if you did want to go up from $25 million, I think when we were talking with financial advisors, they knew we possibly might go a little higher than that, so I think there's a little flexibility there. But we were looking at a net zero increase in what we've been paying on our bond and debt issue, and also being able to secure the $25 million.
So, are you saying yea
So we'll be
or nay?
paying, with this $25 million bond issue, next year we'll be paying the same as we did this year and last year in debt service. That number will go up if you go up from the $25 million.
All right, that was just a question. The other thing on the, let's vote on this and then I'll ask that question on the impact thing. All right, any more discussion on the motion? If not, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously, bond to $25 million. All right, impact fees. If we're only talking about that 160,000 a while ago, we're building roughly 1,500 to 2,000 houses on the north side of town. We've got about 700 or 800 going up right now on the north side of town. Where's the impact money for fire fee?
A good chunk of the impact fees for fire fee is going for building the fire stations. I'm not sure what the balance on that is, but for the last few years, the amount that we've collected in fire fees have not covered the debt service for the fire stations. It's the same with transportation impact fees for the purchase of, and the improvements done to McGuire Road and Clark Road. We've actually had to use some general funds. Now, it's coming back, and you're right, there may be some impact fees that we can actually use from Parks and Rec and fire and transportation to take care of some of these things in the future. We've been in negative for a few years now. We haven't gotten enough in impact fees. I think that's changing now, though. So,
But if that impact fees for that area, north area of town, do we take that money and put it somewhere else?
Yeah, we don't have districts. It can be, the impact fee money we can use
Can we
anywhere in
utilize
town.
anywhere it's new construction?
Yeah. Now, when we did, for example, the Parks and Rec impact fees, I think we pretty much brought that down to zero when we did the community center. We did the new community center.
Yeah.
I know for a fact, we use fire impact fees for the 3 fire stations. I know we use police impact fees, which we're still paying off the new police station. So there's probably another 10, 15 years on some of those bond issues yet, or those loans. So I'm not sure if your question is, can we use some of those to bring these numbers down?
Yeah.
I guess we
Yeah.
can, but we've brought a lot of them down to zero,
can
and
we
some of
look
them
at-
have been at zero for a few
Well,
years.
we can find it, it's less when we take out of reserves.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that's the question. All right, motion's carried now.
Okay, so I think if we're ready for that, then we need to approve the projects that will be paid for out of the general bond issue.
Can we
And it-
do like a block, like?
Yeah, I think,
Leave that one out, leave out the
yeah, I thought what we would do is maybe start with that one, start with the
women's club?
women's club rehabilitation. We could include that, and then we can include everything else.
So I'll make a motion that we,
One second,
Wait a
Commissioner, I'm
minute.
sorry.
Yep.
With-
We now have, per the discussion, we have it all correct on the screen.
Okay, so let's start with the one item on the Ocoee Women's Club rehabilitation, on including that in the general
Well,
bond issue.
I'll make
All right,
that
let me
motion.
first ask for the motion. All right? All right, go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we include the Ocoee Women's Club rehabilitation in the general fund bond.
All right, motion's been made that we do the Women's Club.
I'll second that.
And seconded by Commissioner First. Any more discussion?
Just that I will be
With-
completing
with-
the form.
With Commissioner Wilson abstaining and filling out the form.
Thank you.
Ready to vote? Motion carries with 4 votes with Commissioner Wilson abstaining. All right,
All right, next is a motion to approve the remaining projects in the general bond issue of up to $25 million per the staff report and the summary chart on the screen.
I'll make that motion.
motion made by Commissioner Grogan,
I'll
Second.
Oh, sorry.
seconded by Commissioner Keller. Any more discussion?
Wait, wait, wait.
Let's vote. All right,
You're going to make the other bond issue presentation now?
We don't have a presentation per se on the master downtown stormwater system, but that being a cornerstone component that most of these projects will rely on, and future redevelopment in the downtown, it would be prudent for the commission to direct us to proceed forward with securing necessary funding using stormwater funds to fund the master downtown stormwater system, which includes 100, well, you've already approved the general fund bond. So based on the recommendations of Director Krug from Public Works, that number, that $8 million number could fluctuate a little. So we would respectfully request the commission direct us to proceed forward securing necessary funding to build a master downtown stormwater system consistent with the downtown master plan,
out of the stormwater fee.
using stormwater funds. Yes, sir.
Is that a request for a motion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
You want to read that
I'll-
motion now? How he wants that?
Yeah, so this would be a motion to
Secure the funds.
secure funds for utility bond issue to fund the downtown master plan out of the stormwater, the city's stormwater fund.
All right. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Wilson for the stormwater fund,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Grogan. No more comments? Let's vote. Excuse me just a minute. We don't have to have any public comments. Okay. It's not a public hearing, but if anybody does, citizens has any comments, wants to make any comments to any of these issues, raise your hand, we'll bring you up forward, and you can fill out a form and you can talk, we'll let you talk. That's only if you want to. I just don't want it to be where you don't think you can. All right, next. That it?
Congratulations, you're getting it downtown.
Very good.
We're getting the money. We're-
Yeah,
All right, let's make some, we'll let the commission make some comments first, and I'll start with Commissioner Grogan on this. Project.
downtown?
Yes. If you want to.
Yeah, I think Ocoee's been waiting a long time to have this done. I'm really very proud that the commission pulled together and that the staff actually put all the meat and bones of this together for us. They are the professionals. They're the ones that did it. We just told them what we wanted, what the citizens wanted, and it's a very proud night to be in Ocoee. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Wilson?
Sure, I think it's a very exciting time. I would like to make sure that all of our residents know that on October 18th, there will be a presentation here during the commission meeting, and we hope you'll all attend to get the final information on the master plan for the Lakeshore Center. So please attend. Right, October 18th? You're giving me that look, Mike, like I'm wrong. I all of a sudden went,
You said master plan for the Lakeshore Center.
oh, I'm sorry, See, I
Not
never
gonna
looking
spend
at
that
it,
much on it.
something was wrong.
We're
The
not gonna spend that
downtown
much.
master plan, let me correct, October the 18th at the commission meeting, so please attend. And I know they are asking for RSVP, so that they'll know how many will be here, but please, be here.
Commissioner first.
Yeah, I would just like to thank the city staff and our consultants. They did a magnificent job. And I'm really pleased to see this because it truly reflects what the public have come forward and said they wanted to see in this downtown redevelopment. It's to a T. It's everything that's been laid out so far, and I'm very happy to see it move forward.
Commissioner Keller?
I'm going to echo what everybody else has said. I just want to thank staff for a tremendous job. The consultants, fantastic. Thank you for all the help you did on it. For the citizens who came out to all of the different meetings and put in their input. This is a long time in coming. I've been waiting a long time for this vote to take place, and I'm just very glad that it's finally happened, and I'm looking forward to quite a bit of excitement and growth in our downtown now.
Craig, where'd you, back up a minute. On the prioritizing of this, I know we don't start Lakeshore and we'll start City Hall, but what's the projects for that? Blueford Avenue next.
Okay,
Does that entail the McGuire cut it through?
I'm going to go back to the purple
I'd like to
first.
see them numbered in order here.
Okay, we can do that. They're grouped based on the relationships. Now, let me just start in the yellow ones, because the yellow projects can begin, of the yellow ones, they can begin being designed right now. The green ones, Main Street Extension is almost designed. We're waiting on some responses from the homeowner, and that will be ready to bid very soon, okay? Wastewater force main connector has to begin right away because it is affected by where all the things in the purple coating are going to be placed. The Women's Club rehab, those are all projects that are independent of enough from downtown to begin right away, okay? Now, the ones at the top, including Master Downtown Stormwater System, Downtown Gravity Sewer, Blueford Avenue, Lakefront Park Improvements Phase 1, Lakeshore Center Expansion, City Hall Relocation, Oakland Avenue Reconstruction and Trail Segment 1, McKee Street Reconstruction. Those have all got to be looked at the same time. So things are about to get very busy around here. We've already looked at, and we're prepared to discuss tonight, the different means of procurement. We're going to be probably making an ordinance change to give ourselves a little bit of flexibility. We're waiting on one response from Sheffield and Lohman. There was some correspondence today, but we have identified several procurement methodologies that are going to help us expedite some of the projects. They're explained, I believe they're in the packet. If they're not, we'll get those out to you. It's really fun reading. There are also some explanations of, in your packet, there are some little diagrams of the different components of the projects, depending on which method you use. We're going to be hitting the ground running. This is going to start moving very quickly because we're going to be hopefully closing soon on the utility bond money. Okay, that's coming first. We will be working on securing this $25 million bond issue, and we will probably be bringing back, contingent upon finding a place to borrow from, a reimbursement resolution associated with the general bond issue, much like we did for the utility bond issue, so that we can go ahead and start paying for certain things right now. But the next immediate thing that's going to happen is getting the money and trying to move forward on things that we can go ahead and move forward on. But all of those things that are grouped at the top have to be looked at together. If you want a super detailed version of that, we'd be happy to schedule some one-on-one time individually with you. But the top grouping right there, those all have to start right away. The master stormwater system needs to get started right away. The gravity sewer system, we've got to, that is directly tied to the stormwater system. Now, there may be some scenarios with City Hall where we have to do a combination of on-site retention and with plans to move it off-site once the master system gets built. But these are all projects that have dependencies on one another, okay? And stormwater is one of the big elephants in the room. So those all have to start immediately. So I would call all those the same number, with maybe 1A being master downtown stormwater system and 1B being downtown gravity sewer all the way through McKee Street reconstruction. Those listed in green, those can begin right away. Like I said, Maine's almost done. The Blueford second left turn lane, that's timing-wise, Mike can kind of tell you when that's going to happen. That's going to happen towards the end of the State Road 50 resurfacing project, where we'll get those turn lanes put in and can finish that section of Blueford Avenue. The Silver Star Road realignment, that money helps push the PD&E study, because remembering the master plan, one of our ultimate long-term goals is to have Silver Star and Oakland come together at Franklin out near the interchange to create a monster gateway. What you approve tonight creates an intermediate gateway using Taylor and creating 2 roundabouts, and that's in the yellow grouping, which those listed in the yellow grouping are going to have some dependencies based on the previous 2, the green and the purple. They have some dependencies on those, so they're not going to happen quite as quickly. Gateways and wayfinding phase 1, that's something that's easy to put together, but you're not going to be putting those out there until you have things constructed. And then lakefront park improvements phase 2, there's a little bit of money remaining in there, like $842,000. And we can do some significant things like going ahead and start investigating some of the land acquisition things that we would need to do to accomplish that. But the big message I wanted to get across is all the purple stuff's got to start real soon.
Well, with all that 10% contingency on all those different funds, that'll give us about $2,500,000 to finish that lake with. So guess what? We got money. We got money we don't know about. Just a joke.
Mayor, can I say
Make sure we do keep some of that contingency money where we can figure out where it's at to utilize it at the end when we get to where we're even looking for money.
Yes, sir.
I will say that in the process over the last couple of years, when we first met in our strategic command or meetings over at the Lakeshore Center, it was kind of a little bit of going back and forth, but it seems to me like in the last year, year and a half, everything's kind of come around. And I will say, I will say that I'm kind of proud of the commissioners for the process and the procedures we've done to get to where we're at. And 29 years, 30 years of dealing up here, this is one of the most advantageous groups of people that I've seen work towards getting what we need to do. And that includes everybody. I'm not despairing about who's been here before, but this took a lot of time and thought and a lot of foresight to get to the point where we're at. And it don't sound like a lot of money to a lot of people, but $25 million is a lot of money in doing what we want to do to get our city to be where it's called the center of good living. And I think we're working towards getting to that, and I appreciate it very much. And Rob, I appreciate your foresight, and I definitely appreciate the staff for always being on board and coming up and doing what they're supposed to do and helping us with this. I think the biggest thing that helped push this to where it's at and is the citizens' input. The citizens were the biggest part, I think, of getting this to where it was, and I think it gave all of us the reassurances of what we had to do, and we could do it. It's a lot easier when you're sitting up here working with the back and instead of getting things thrown at you or people hollering at you. So, and we still might get some of that, but I think everybody in town's going to be pleased with it. I think this lake shore is going to be one of the showpieces of Orange County, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, and I'm looking to see us start as soon as possible. So I know it's going to take a lot of your time and a lot of staff's time. So Rob will be.
We've already started on downtown.
Yeah.
Mr.
Mayor, can I
Smith
add
can
something?
share a lot about that.
Could we please, the one thing that's gonna really upset people no matter what, is when we close down Blueford.
Well, I'm going to diverse the numbers. I'm going to put everybody's phone number.
Well, what I'm getting at is, whatever we have to do, advertise it in the paper often, put it out in the mailing list for water bills, let everybody know what's going on, what we're doing, and if we have to put up some of those flashing billboards that we have, let's get that together pretty quickly. And if we could add in signs for the different projects we're doing, to have the signs put in the different projects to let the people see what we're actually doing and how much we're doing, that would be great.
Yes, sir. We actually have designed a really nice sign that's going to be fairly large that we had a mock-up that we were going to show you tonight, but something happened to it, and we weren't able to do that. But you're going to be seeing these up in the community, and we've already started on some of the utility work that's going to feed the downtown. So we're underway, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for all the support that you've been to us with this project, to all of you.
Make sure that the report's out where citizens can pick it up and see it, and we'll, like I said, on the 18th, have that where we can have citizens, they can pick up the report and get a view and see what we're doing. And any more comments for the good? All right, first of all, I need any more comments from the commissioners. Commissioner Grogan?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Wilson?
Commissioner, no, first good.
No additional, just fantastic. Thank you very much again for everything on this. This is going to be great. Looking forward to it.
Rob, you need any comments? All right. Are we doing the introduction of the new promotions next meeting or this meeting?
Probably the next meeting. Yeah, we were going to have some cake and punch or
All right.
something like
So
that.
next meeting, we're gonna have a little cake and punch. We got some new promotions we need to tell people about. So maybe some demotions, no demotions.
We have a CRA meeting, I was looking at.
No, we just had.
We had it.
Yeah, we just had it,
We have to have the budget one. Do we have a date for that yet, Craig?
It'll be most likely the first meeting in November because you have an executive session scheduled for
Okay.
6 o'clock on the 18th for other matters.
Okay, wait a minute, say that again, 18th.
The 18th is an executive session to discuss something else.
Right, but I
So-
didn't know if we had planned another CRA meeting before the end.
somewhere in
Yes.
November.
We have to do that to approve the budget for the CRA.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm,
Yes.
I hadn't seen anything, so I was looking for that.
No, that'll,
Just,
The first meeting in November?
we're shooting for that. It'll be the
At the
first.
latest.
The second meeting in November is canceled. That's the 15th.
yeah, but November the 2nd, is that a meeting?
November
First.
1st is a meeting.
Oh.
But I just didn't know, for some reason, the CRA was sticking in my head about
Oh.
having a meeting, and,
Yes, we have to
Yes.
do that, and
but that's not planned yet.
we have to do our, well, we are in preparation.
November 1st at the latest.
November
Yes.
1st is the latest.
Yes.
Or we could have a special meeting.
Oh, we could have a special meeting.
Sure.
Okay, no, okay, thank you, it just thought we needed one, and I couldn't figure, I didn't see it on my calendar. Okay,
All right, before I close the meeting, Founder's Day, November the 4th and 5th, is coming up. We have Pat Benatar on Friday night. Oh, I've been told we needed a little different music on some of that, so we're trying something different. So, we'll see. On Friday night, there's a few other locals, but on Saturday night, we have some locals, but we also have T.G. Shepherd, who's an old-time country, and we have Big and Rich, which is new-time country. So, that's on November the 5th. Also, on October the 21st, and Charles, I didn't bring my poster, and I don't know if you remember what time we start. It's the Lions Club, the golf tournament for the Founder's Day on October the 21st, isn't it?
It's around a noon start.
Yeah. So I will make sure I need to have that put on the TV. We also have a craft show we're doing on the 4th and the 5th. We have the 5K race for Chick-fil-A, car show on Saturday, and the police are having the poker run deal on I think it's all day Saturday of the function. So if you need any information on it, go on the city website, look it up. I think you'll enjoy it. And everybody have a great night. Thank you very much. Thanks, Steph.